Let's talk about the rest of the Los Angeles Lakers, their 24-25 season. Luka Doncic, Austin Reaves, Dalton Knecht, LeBron James Jr., Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and President General. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Thank you also for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We're available on all platforms. So the double bangers, the everydayers. You watch, you listen, you learn. You don't judge? Maybe you do judge. No, judge. Judge as much as possible. Judge the fact that we've got a live draft show Wednesday the 25th of June, 8 p.m. Eastern. Jump across there for tomfoolery, analysis, fun, frivolity, nudity. It's all going to come. So maybe you will too. Let's talk about this Los Angeles Lakers. The rest of this team, we talked about the old dudes earlier on. So let's talk about the young guys. And by young, I mean under 27, because that is how old this squad is. There's only one place for us to start, realistically, with this Lakers group that's not the olds. It's Luka Doncic. And we don't have to rehash the story of the trade. We don't have to rehash the conditioning concerns or whatever it is that Nico Harrison lied about. We don't have to worry about it. Let's just talk about Luka. He is 26. He had 35 usage. He played 35 minutes. He had that significant calf injury at Christmas. It cost him a bunch of time. So he ended up playing 50 games. He was the fourth-ranked player in per-game value this season for category leagues. His ADP was 3.7. His points league value was 52.5 fantasy points, which was fifth. He's bang on. Now, in the past, Luka, even with my Durant ranking stuff, had never really always been a top 4 guy. He'd be like a top 7 sort of player. But I think now we can lock him in that zone, even with LeBron there. I think it's fine to look at that. We can look pre- and post-trade deadline. 5th, 4th. It's the same. So you're going to have Shea, Jokic, Wemby, Luka. There's your 4. Giannis is going to be in that mix as well. That's your top 5. Pretty locked in. 28, 8, and 7.5. 45 and 78 with 37% from 3.5 threes a game. The one thing I would look at there with Luka and these numbers is 1.8 steals. If that doesn't hold, then the actual rank may not end up being, 4th. It might be 7th. That's okay. We know Luka's a high volume player, 99th in load, 98th in passing creation, 96th in time on ball. Drip thought he declined a lot. I don't think that's really fair. Darko's got him about stagnant, which I think is fine. Deflection rate was high, hence the steals, but that's not for any player. It's not a really sustainable year-on-year number. And especially for Luka, not considered a good defender, he's not going to be a 1.8 steals guy every season. So while we can look at this and go, he's more familiar in LA, he should play more than 50 games. That's 100% true. Like, I agree with both of those things. He could easily be worse from a fantasy point of view. He might average 51 fantasy points. He might be the 7th best category league player. And if you take that at 4, who cares? Totally reasonable. This is probably I'd say top 4 dynasty guy as well. We have got, I'm going to say 6 seasons left at this actual elite level. And he won't be bad after that. It'll just be some small declines. Is there anywhere here where Luka can be better? I guess 45 from the field could be 47. I guess the free throws might, out of nowhere, hit to 81. No reason they would. He's never done that. That's the other thing that could happen, is maybe Luka goes from 78 from the line, which is a good number for him, clearly, and it's 74 on really high volume. And then the 9-cat total straight rankings would tell you that he's going to be ranked 28th or something. All right, that will happen. I would be looking at Luka heading into next season, and I would be not... You don't have to go in and go, well, I've got Luka, I'm punting free throws. You don't have to do that. But I would have it in my mind that there is more of a chance of Luka being a below average and therefore negative impact on my free throws than there is him becoming a positive. I would look at it and go, best case is neutral, but I've got to be prepared and either highly invest in volume, high-level free throw guys, or not worry about it too much and understand if Luka goes from 78 to 74 on 8 attempts per game, that it's not going to ruin the entirety of my build. I need to have free throws as not a strength that I'm building on, or as such an infallible strength that if Luka falls, and you can do those calculations. What if Luka's 74 on 8 attempts? How does it impact my overall team? Am I projected 85 down to 84? Then I'm good. Am I 80 down to 79? Then I am not good. And that is bad. And therefore, investing in these other high free throw guys to keep me at 79 when the risk they can fall lower is a bad strategy. So they'd be the two things I'd look at and go, steals and free throws could easily fall. What could improve? Field goals could go up. I guess 9 assists is possible, but I think that's more likely going to be the thing if Reaves would be traded or when LeBron retires in a couple of years. So overall, it could be that this is best case Luka for the next 2 years. And by best case, I mean like it goes 4th or 5th to 7th. Like, again, who cares? But understanding that there are a couple little points there that there could be a decline. It's possible. It is possible. Austin Reaves was a player that I really liked heading into the season, but I didn't expect what we got here. Yeah, I didn't expect the numbers we got. Reaves, I was annoyed that they would play D'Angelo Russell and him at the same time, and there would be periods where they would prioritize D'Angelo Russell. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me from a, hey, do we care about winning sort of scenario? Because it was very clear that Reaves is a better player than Russell, I thought anyway. But I had Reaves around the 90 mark in the preseason, and he cooked that. 39th best player, 54th in points leagues. And somehow, after the trade deadline, 17th. And that's with Luka there. Luka missed a little bit of time, but Luka was there. 20 and 4.5 with 6 assists, 1.1 steals, 46, 88, and 38. He played 73 games at 35 minutes, 24 usage. He had 88th offensive load, 87 time on ball, 54th rim contest numbers. Okay, that's interesting. 88th in drip delta, 88th percentile. Okay. I thought he established himself as a very, very good player. The thing that I would throw out here is there are 2 ways the Lakers can go about this. They have Luka, LeBron, and Reaves. And they are basically going to do all of the usage and all of the ball handling and assists. All of it. So Finney Smith, Hachimura, center to be named later, Gabe Vincent, Jordan Goodwin, nobody's ever doing anything else. And they highly concentrate everything around those 3 players. Which is what they did. That is how Reaves was able to be this good. That is how Luka and LeBron maintained their numbers. They figured that to a degree, they figured that out. Not to a degree, like they did. You can look at these numbers. You can see exactly that Reaves was still really good and elevated himself post-trade deadline. Now, again, some of the early stuff was because they were weirdly prioritizing D'Angelo Russell, which is very clearly frustrating. But the system that they worked, where it's just those 3 guys doing basically everything offensively, it worked for Reaves. And it's not like that post-trade deadline 17th ranking is because LeBron was out all that time. LeBron did miss 7 games in the middle of March, but he was there for the majority of that. That wasn't the reason. It was just that there was a comfortability, and they needed to rely upon these guys with so many minutes because of the way that the team was structured. So you're getting 40-minute games, 39-minute games, 38, 39, 33. He was putting up big assist numbers. He was shooting the ball really well, Austin Reaves, scoring at a really high level. And yeah, Luka missed some time there as well. But realistically, these guys were all available down the stretch for the majority of that time. So while that 17th is definitely eye-opening, you go, really? Austin Reaves was a top 20 player? It's not one of those ones where we go, yeah, but you got to reintegrate this player back into the rotation because they weren't there. Because that's not what happened. Luka missed that time, sure, but not really. He played 1 or 2 days after the trade deadline. Did he play immediately after, basically? Yeah, 10th of February he came back on limited minutes. And then barely missed down the stretch and was playing 40 minutes a night. So we're not looking at Austin Reaves as a top 20 player. Even him as the 39th ranked player is interesting. I think that Reaves will end up, I don't know, I'm trying to think where he's going to end up like ADP-wise. I've looked at his Yahoo total 9-cat ranking is 30th, which actually is not that far off. That's actually one that makes sense. So I wonder where people will view him. He's 27, so we're talking peak of his career, and I don't think anybody else is coming in to change the way that they like handle ball handling stuff. And the thing about all of this is with Reaves is that what if LeBron misses time? What if Luka is hurt? That 17 is real. It could be even better. So yeah, I didn't think I'd be really coming here and analysing Austin Reaves and be talking about him as he could be a third-round player. I don't think we draft him there. But if we come in and we see Austin Reaves sitting with an ADP of 58, smash. Like, smash. Easy smash. Because I don't really know out of this stuff. 38 from 3, 46 from the field, 88 from the line. What changes? Maybe it is the assist. Maybe it goes down to 5. Maybe. But 17th with Luka and LeBron there it's crazy. We're going to come back and talk about Dalton Knecht. Yes, Jordan Goodwin, Christian Koloko. Christian Koloko, yeah. Cool. I'm sure you're waiting for that one. But first of all, today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, NBA finals are in full swing. Game 5 is in the books, and I don't know who won because it hasn't happened when I'm recording this, but you do. And that means we've got at least one more game of the NBA finals left, so you can get in. Use your skills and knowledge when watching the game or pre-game to place those bets, and it's easy with FanDuel to stay in the game. Whether it is before tip-off or live, there are player props and same-game parlays, more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You can actually do the player props before the game and combine them for a same-game parlay, but you can do them live in-game and do live in-game same-game parlays on FanDuel as well. You might see that someone's about to heat up. You can get in there and chuck that little prop on, chuck the spread stuff on as well, and hopefully win. If you are new to FanDuel, it's also a perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet, and if that wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA, and don't forget to gamble responsibly. I don't know if you guys do this, but like I'm sitting here, I'm talking about Austin Reaves, and I've gone through and I've done all this research and I've prepared all this stuff, and I'm talking about this, and I'm seeing that ranking, and he's 17th and all that thing, and I go, I'm missing something, aren't I? Like, what am I missing? Who am I missing? Who's the guy that is like I'm just completely forgetting about? But there's literally nobody. Rui Hachimura, Dorian Finney-Smith, high volume center that's not on the team. There's nobody. Like I'm not like Josh, you forgot about this guy was out all the way through. Yeah, but who was it? There was nobody there. There was nobody out in that time frame. So yeah, like I can't shake the idea that I'm wrong and I've forgotten some big piece. But I haven't. Let's talk Jordan Goodwin, who, amazingly, out of these guys under the age of 27, was the third highest ranked player, and that's how you know there's a drop-off. Now, it's not a huge number to get to. 216th he was. He had 19 minutes a game in his 29 games, averaged 6 and 4 with a steal. But the steal in 19 minutes is very high. He shot 38 from 3 and 82 from the line. So part of the issue that's held Goodwin back in the past is some shooting concerns. But he was great in that time. Now, it's not fixed. He's not this awesome player from now on, but you'll notice that I don't really know what Drip thought he was bad at, but whatever. He's a decent passing creation guy. You'll notice his offensive load is 21st, but he's passing 53rd. So a willing passer, a guy that doesn't need to dominate the ball, 14 usage, but he rebounds like crazy as a point guard. He's a defensive player. He blocks shots at a really good level. Look at this contest rate and deflection rate. Like the 90-second contest, 86th percentile deflections. A defense-first point guard in the Derek White mold, who looks like he's fixed some shooting and rebounds well. There's no requirement for him to be a passer on this team with LeBron and Reaves and Doncic. They should. Don't know if they will. I think they should, and he's 27. I think they should really, really heavily look at Goodwin being in this rotation ahead of Gabe Vincent and ahead of like Shake Milton if he returns, just being that third guard off the bench. They may not. The shooting might not be real. They might prefer Vincent that, and I can understand how that can happen. But everything to me suggests that Jordan Goodwin, after bouncing around the league, signing a two-way, but then latching on here, that this is a fit. You can be a low-usage, ball-moving, defensive, hard-nosed, rebounding point guard who shoots well. You should feel pretty good about that. Now, he played in the playoffs. He didn't play big minutes. He didn't play at all in the last game. But he was getting like 6 or 7 minutes. I think he needs to be a bigger part of that. So if I'm in a dynasty format, a deeper format, we don't know how this is going to play out. They obviously don't have a draft pick that's going to do anything. They don't have huge free agent flexibility. I'd be... in a deeper league, I'd be quite intrigued about what Goodwin could bring. Now, this just could be completely wrong. They just go back to Vincent. They give more minutes to Knecht. Shake Milton hangs around and he's in the rotation. Bronny James fits that role, who honestly, the best case, not even best case is a lot higher, but like Bronny James's role on this team is Jordan Goodwin. A hard-nosed defensive player, shutdown guard who does the dirty things and fits around others. It's exactly what Goodwin does. So, I sound like I'm just giving him high praise. We've loved him in fantasy circles for a while when he's had those little cameos. Brooklyn, Memphis last season. And even in LA this season, like to be 216th, averaging 16 fantasy points, not much, but in 19 minutes, steals, blocks, some rebounds, hit his threes, good free throws. It's a really good combo. And I do think that the fit of him makes a lot of sense with the other guys on this team. I was worried that we wouldn't ever get Jared Vanderbilt back. Jared Vanderbilt hurt his foot/ankle in the season prior and just took forever to come back. The Lakers were quite frustrating in terms of never giving us updates on when he would return. He eventually did return, and like so many players, Gabe Vincent, that have been out for so long, when you are a fringy rotation guy who's getting by on elite hustle athleticism, and then you suffer a big injury, and then you're trying to work your way back, it's tough. It's hard to do. Vanderbilt's profile in the past had been elite rebounder, good steals guy as a big, not a good shooter, but high field goal percentage, but not a good shot blocker. And you'll notice that. Bad from the line, 28 from 3, 1 steal in 16 minutes is great, 5 rebounds in 16 minutes is great. But literally that's it. Now, I will say that his rim contest number at 89th percentile is pretty strong. He's in the middle for DPM and drip, so like he didn't drop off too much, so that's okay. Low load player. He's usually not a bad passer as a big man, but his ability to be that switch everything defender who also can be not completely ignored on offense, I don't think that's there, especially the offensive part. Steals are still there. Rebounds are still there. Defensive ability is there. But no one's going to have any fear in him offensively. And that's going to make him harder to play because you're just going to be able to leave him out there. Now, theoretically, if he was able to develop a Dorian Finney-Smith-like shot, that's elite. Like 26 years of age, Finney-Smith's 32, then you pump all your stuff into Vanderbilt and you're good to go. And actually, he'd be a useful fantasy guy. Some out-of-position assists, rebounds, steals, high field goals, and adding threes. But I don't think that's ever happening. So I say all that to say, sure, if he hit threes, well done. But he doesn't. He never has. I don't think he ever will. And the injury, I think, set him back a lot. And he's just not the same player anymore. And it's hard to be that same player. So I'm not, can't fault him for that. There was a serious injury that I didn't even know whether he'd come back ever. He might find himself on a different team and be in a 25-minute role. I don't think that's ever happening for him again, honestly. I think that the offensive limitations have stagnated so much that they're not improving. That's what stagnated means. And the defensive stuff has dropped just enough that it can't make up for it. So that makes it tough. We've got a couple more guys that we're going to talk about in this over 27 group. Probably the most important one is going to be Dalton Knecht, who we're not going to get to just yet. We are going to talk about Jaxson Hayes, who has been one of the worst players in the NBA for a long period of time. He was not one of the worst players in the NBA this season. He was forced into a larger role with the trading of Anthony Davis and the other centers all being absolutely useless. And he responded okay. I wouldn't say that he was great. He's 25, he played 20 minutes. He had 13 usage, averaging 7 and 5. 7 and 5 in 20 minutes. Push that to 30 minutes, for example. Then you're talking 10.5 points, 7.5 boards, 1.4 blocks. That's still not good, right? That'd be 30 minutes just extrapolating out. What Jaxson Hayes does is elite field goal percentage. 72% from the field. Bit like Daniel Gafford. The difference between him and Gafford, who obviously Luka had a ton of success is that Gafford is a better shot blocker, he's a higher usage player, and he's better at being just in better positions for pick and rolls. So and Darko and Drip both agree with me that Hayes did take huge steps forward. 97th percentile on Drip in terms of Delta and 88th on DPM because he was literally one of the worst players in the NBA. And he turned into a rotation viable player. But you also do not want to play Jaxson Hayes big minutes. You don't want him to be a starter. And even in the playoffs, we saw it that when JJ Redick was starting him, he'd start him and then go, yeah, after 2 minutes, you're done, my guy. See you later. Let's get a lineup in that makes sense. Now, that doesn't happen in the regular season as much. But they will 100% be looking to upgrade this spot. There's just no two ways about that. He was 304th this season, Hayes, averaged 18 fantasy points. He had some of his own injury issues. He's a unrestricted free agent, so who knows if he's back. But yeah, in terms of the other options, Len or Morris or Koloko, he is much better as a backup there. But they have more success with that small ball, and Hayes is not the answer as a starter. So while there is usefulness in the field goal percentage, and as a lot of the times with these sort of guys, if he gets to 26 minutes and the Lakers have advantageous schedule spot, you use it. You get the field goals, you get a couple of rebounds, 10 points, you get some blocks, and you like it, and then you move on. But I'm not sure if there's extra levels here from Hayes. Considering the improvement he made this season, I don't really know if he can go any further than this. Speaking of I don't know whether he can go any further, let's talk about the guy that I cannot believe fell to pick 17. The Lakers got a top 5 player in the draft at pick 17, so surely he must have dominated. Dalton Knecht was the 397th ranked player this season. He averaged 14 fantasy points, which made him 329th in points leagues. He was being drafted in leagues, and you would have seen me in industry pickup when we were doing that auction draft. It was after he had a red-hot preseason game, and I went, I'm going to chuck him out there as a joke and hope one of these analysts bites and thinks that Dalton Knecht's going to be good. And they didn't, and I got stuck with him for $1. All right, very, very much a wasted pick and someone I wasn't interested in. Knecht is a player, and this is where we're at with Dalton Knecht. I did not like him as a draft prospect for multiple reasons. He only really thrived when he got to like age 22, 23 in college. He did it on incredibly high volume without many other supporting stats. And coming into the NBA at the age of 23 as a volume scorer is not going to work. As well as being a bad defender and a non-willing passer. And even as a shooter, not sure he's an elite shooter because he's not. But 38% from 3 as a rookie is encouraging. That is really good. But 76 from the line doesn't make me think that he's the elite of the elite. 46 overall. And you'll notice Ryan Anderson, 0.8 assists, 0.3 steals, 0.1 blocks. These combination players who can't get assists, steals, or blocks, they're not good rebounders. They are usually bad NBA players. Knecht had 19 usage, which is okay. But he's never going to be a 25 usage player, which honestly, he probably needs to be a 27 usage guy playing 29 minutes to be any sort of top 90 fantasy threat. There were a couple of moments this season for Knecht. People got quite hyped when he was traded to Charlotte, and that was rescinded, obviously. But still, everything remains. He needs to be in a spot of incredibly high usage where he is a play finisher. Because he's not a play creator. He's not a shot creator. He's not creating for others. He's not creating defensively. And even as a shooter, he's not super, super efficient. He averaged 9 and 3 in 19 minutes. Let's do the Jaxson Hayes thing. Let's make that 30. So what's that? 13.5 points with 4.5 boards, 2.4 threes. That's interesting, 2.4 threes. 1.2 assists, 0.5 steals. Putrid, still. He's a rookie. He will improve. How much? I don't know. They, I guess, would look to give him a few more minutes in this, but that's also not a guarantee. He was pick 17 as a very old rookie with a very limited skill set. Every part of that played out this season. I would not be thinking that there is a huge, huge role coming up for him really at any point. These are the players that I just don't love in real-life drafts. I'm sure someone will be able to give me an example of one of these players really working out in the last 5 years, but this is Corey Kispert. It's Chris Duarte, who even had more upside because he could pass. I don't get it. I will never be in on this sort of a player in as a discussion of a top 10 guy or a lottery guy. I never will be in on that. And for at least in the Connect one, I think I'm justified there. I don't really know what you can do, though. If you've got him in a Dynasty League and you bought into it, you can't sell off now. Like, what are we talking? 409th after the deadline. That's horrific. It's terrible. And he will improve on some of these things. But also, 46, 76, 38 as his shooting percentages. I don't think you can look at those numbers and go, well, there's obviously clear improvement coming. There might be. But if we came back at age 29 for Dalton Knecht and said, yeah, he's a 46% shooter, 38 from threes, 76 from the line, you go, oh, yeah, that clocks. Makes sense. That's probably what he does. That's a fine number. He could easily improve. But he might not. He's never going to pass or defend or be a strong rebounder. He needs to find his way onto a terrible team who will, for some reason, funnel usage to him. And I just don't think that'll happen either. So, I'm out. What realistically could improve? Assists? Don't think so, actually. Rebounds? Maybe. Usage? Probably. But not on this team, and not next season. So safe to say I'm not going to be drafting Dalton Knecht. I'm not even going to be putting up as a fake bid in auction drafts that I tried to convince people of. And it is a great reminder of the highlight reel bias that he will have a game. And I got into a lot of arguments with people online about this. Where like he had these, I think it was in the preseason when he had like that 40-point game of 8 of 8 3-point shooting, and everyone was the Netherlands boat industry crashed so hard because they were out of Dutch rudders. That is how bad it was. That's a terrible joke. But yeah, it was so aggressive. He's an elite shooter. He's going to kill. I go, yeah, that's great. But can we talk about how like he's shot 25% from three for the 4 games before that, averaging 7 points on whatever it was? No. We can only talk about the hot half that he had. And that just screwed people's minds up. And it will happen to 10 people, 10 different players over the course of the next season, where we take one little sample and ignore everything else around it because it makes it feel good because he had this great, unbelievable performance. And if you stick true, I think, to the idea of that was great, but no one talked about shit when everything was bad, therefore you didn't know it was bad, and we look at it holistically, we have better results. You will miss a player occasionally. That will happen. But overall, I think you will have better results. And I will continue to do that. And I will continue to put that information out there as best I can. And it's not being a hater. It's trying to get the best results. Let's talk Christian Koloko, who it's just great to see him back, honestly. 2-way contract with the Lakers, back from that blood clot, got cleared early in the season to play. He had a few moments playing some rotation minutes for this team, but any hope, I think, of him being a shooter is probably not there. He's 25 now, 11 usage, 9 minutes. Got overtaken by Trey Jemison towards the end of the season and Jaxson Hayes. He averaged 2 and 2. It's not very good, is it? In 9 minutes, that's Richie Beno-esque. 0.4 blocks in 9 minutes is not bad. It's pretty good, actually. He's still a decent shot blocker, but offensively, it's all nothing. 2-way guy, maybe they bring him back. Wouldn't have thought that it's going to be considered a high priority, to be honest. What I would look at them doing is Trey Jemison. Now, Jemison's on a 2-year 2-way, so he's on a 2-way again next season. We know that he had that success for the Pelicans. Was it the Pelicans or the Grizzlies? Grizzlies, I think. And then he was on the Pelicans at one point as well. 10 minutes a game. He averaged 7.7 fantasy points. He averaged 2.5 and 3 with half a block. 39 from the line is disgusting. I think there's more hope of him developing into a 2 or 3 year run as a backup center than like a Christian Koloko. But also, it very easily might not happen. So he's okay. He showed, I think, more flashes than Koloko did. But in the end, like, it's not anything reliable. And lastly, we get to LeBron James Jr. I said this to my son, Ben, the other day. I go, hey, isn't it really weird, right? Over the last 2 months, you have not heard a single thing about Bronny. Remember earlier this season, in the offseason, everything was like, oh, everyone's comparing everything to Bronny. Everything Bronny does. There's this. Let's talk about his game in the G League. Let's look at that. Let's make a joke about Bronny and his contract. It was nauseating and infuriating. Many of you being going, oh yeah, Bronny plays. Like this, but nothing. Nobody, was it because it didn't drive the level of engagement that clickbaiters were looking for? Maybe. So they move on to something different? Was it that Bronny showed that, yeah, like, okay, he's not a star, but he can sort of hang in this role? Now, was he good? 2 points? No. 7 minutes, 0.8 assists? Also no. 31% shooting? It's horrific. Yeah, none of that is good. But I think defensively, he's fine. He is still young. He's 21. He missed all of these college season with a heart issue. 21 usage is an interesting number. His passing volume is pretty low, but he wasn't on ball quite a bit, interestingly enough. Really high deflection numbers, which is intriguing. If you look at his G League stats, because he did go down there, he played 18 games. He averaged 19 points. He shot 34 from 3 on 7 attempts. He had 5 assists with 1.6 steals. It's not dominating numbers, but it's useful. It's interesting. So Bronny's obviously going to be around on this team for a couple more years at least. I said it earlier, you're looking to develop into a Jordan Goodwin-ish player. Not as good of a rebounder as Goodwin. The shooting's still got to come along. But I think that in terms of what Bronny did, you could talk about him and we could say, yeah, okay, I get it. His dad is, we know who his dad is and we know why he was drafted to the Lakers. We know all of this stuff. But it's not like chucking me out there to play. Like, he can play a little bit. And the minutes they gave him, 7 minutes, 27 games, commensurate with his ability. Didn't get anything given to him extra like that. Apart from that first game where we knew he was going to play with his dad, which whatever, get it out of the way. He did what he did. They develop him. We'll see where it goes. Probably goes nowhere. But overall, I think that all of the hand-wringing, all that stuff amounts to nothing. Because I think that Bronny is in the spot that he should be in. And he's in the role that he should be in. And it probably never goes anywhere further than this. And that is also just, that is okay. It's okay if it doesn't go any further than that. It's he is going to improve, most likely, in some of the shooting stuff. But if he doesn't, it's okay. It's not embarrassing that he's on an NBA roster. And that's the end of talking about the Lakers. I don't actually remember who the next team is going to be. I'm sure you guys will know. Who is the next team we're going to talk about? I think if I go by standings, which I have been doing, it would be the Indiana Pacers. But we're not going to do that because they're still in the NBA Finals. So we'll skip over the Pacers for the next team and we'll do the LA Clippers. Yeah, there you go. That is who we will do. In the meantime, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up, leave your comments down below. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.